The Wednesday Week is sponsored by Michael Constantine Wealth Management. We bet you can't find a financial advisor closer to Hillsborough Stadium.
Right, so we're live on Facebook. Good evening once again to another Wednesday Week Lockdown Live. My name's Dan Fudge. With me, I've got Vic, Ben, Steve, and as you can see right at the bottom there, Mr. Stephen Bywater's joined us, ladies and gentlemen. He's joined us live on the show. Now, Steve, let's get it out the way now. I mean, we only knew you as a skinhead. We didn't know you as a Gareth Ainsworth tribute band. Are you going to show us what's under that cap? Or
yeah, I can show you. I've been growing my locks.
Down live.
So yeah.
Wow.
Have to wear a cap. Gets in the way in the gym.
Mate, I won't worry about that right now. We're all sat at home in our sweatpants at the minute, so don't make me feel bad for not doing any work. Now, Steve, we're going to go through some of your time with Sheffield Wednesday. I hope we could borrow you for the best part of an hour. And as usual, Ben, kick us off, pal.
Well, before we get on to Wednesday, as you said just before we come on air, Fudge, I have done a bit of research. 16-year-old signed by Harry Redknapp for about 300 grand, is it? Something like that?
I think it's about 800,000, I think it was, yeah.
Get your facts right, Ben.
Yeah, right, Ben.
About 800, I think it was. But, it paid for a couple of stands and helped Rochdale out, so I was pleased.
Good. So how were that as a 16-year-old, obviously starting off at Rochdale and then suddenly being thrust into West Ham, which at the time had some big names?
Yeah, I was lucky. Because I was a big fish in a small pond at Rochdale. I actually played for England under 16s, under 18s. So it gave me a platform to be around the first team at Rochdale, really. So if you're young and you're good enough, you've got more chance of being around the first team at Rochdale, and that just literally helped me get to West Ham because it did. And I was playing with better players in the Northwest regionals, so. It was a good platform for me, Rochdale. And then when I went to West Ham, I just felt lucky to be there. I was lucky. I was lucky to be playing at such a high standard when I was so young at Rochdale. The reserves in men's football when I was 16. So it was. I enjoyed it, and going into the training rooms of Rio and Frank, it was like, yeah, okay, this is where I want to be. This is the platform I want to be on, and this is where it's at, really. This is your football that you watch on the TV that you want to be part of. So that's I just enjoyed it.
Well, West Ham was one of those clubs that was renowned for bringing through youth and relying on some of their academy players to come through. I mean, you mentioned Rio and Frank, and then was Joe Cole in there as well?
Joe Cole, Michael Carrick. Sorry, what was that?
Jamie Redknapp and John Terry in that team as well.
No, that was they were. John Terry was in England under 18s and 21s with myself. Jamie Redknapp used to come into training, to be honest, with his obviously his dad's there, and his brother Mark would come into training. But yeah, I was Harry Redknapp was a believer in if you were good enough, it doesn't matter how old you are. And the supporters at West Ham were really behind young players that were coming through. So I'd gone from Rochdale, which was again a feeding club, to actually get some money to pay for things, really, to survive. I'm going to another club, which was a feeder club, to actually play for just bringing on talent, not the end product of, not so much selling them on, but mainly to have them, to keep them, to progress them, and to use them to actually stay at that level. So it was the same kind of principle, bring the young players through to play, but it wasn't Rochdale, which was financial. It was more at West Ham to play and just to be part of something exciting where you're homegrown and it's exciting. You want to play for your club.
Sorry, Ben, I cut you off there, but yeah, I can imagine that being a bit overwhelming for you. I mean, you even played there with Paolo Di Canio as well, didn't you?
Paolo Di Canio was in the change rooms, the best player I've ever seen. Unbelievable. He operates like a true professional as well, Having been in the change room with all these kind of characters and all these kind of big players and big stars on international level, you learn so much. You learn what it takes to be at the top of your game and to give everything, really. I was speaking to a few of the young lads when I do some volunteering during the week, and you learn so much from these players to get the best out of yourself. And yeah, you need to absorb it and you need to take it all in. Everyone's different, but they all contribute something different to your mind. Paolo was just pure passionate and never took a day off, and was just a family man. He'd bring in cakes for everyone. He'd cook at home and bring in cakes, tiramisu, and his kind of character just was infectious. You know what I mean?
I love that. I absolutely love it. Sorry, Ben, I cut you off there, pal. Carry on, mate.
No, just on Di Canio, obviously, what we know all about him at Wednesday. Was he as mad at West Ham as what we probably saw at Hillsborough?
He was so passionate. He was, you say mad can mean in a dictionary enthusiastic. He was enthusiastic. He was different, but he was passionate and he wanted to win. He would win at any cost, and he deserved to win as well. The amount of hard work, the running, the fitness, the weights, the dedication, the first in, last out. It's, you read about Ronaldo being the first in and last out of the training ground. He was the same. Paolo was the same. He loved his sport. He loved the way he looked. He wanted to look the part. He wanted to be the part. He wanted to help everyone, on the pitch and off the pitch. And he was just a loving guy, but with a ferocious passion of wanting to win. He would literally, he'd want to literally drag people out of the changing rooms to go and play and win with him. And if you weren't doing it on the pitch, he'd make sure he made sure you knew about it. He was, one time at West Ham, he was stood on where you sit down, you sit down to the bench to sit down to change. He was stood on there and he was trying to kick people as they were walking past at half time, saying, "Come on." No, he was though. He was kicking out of people, and we had to separate a load of people. Steve Lomas was walking past, he was kicking out at him, saying, "Come on, we're going to win or what? And you've got to do better." And he had to go and sit in the shower for 10 minutes. Harry Redknapp had to put him in the shower, but that's his passion. He wasn't violent. He was just passion, and you could see it. So what you saw on a pitch is what I saw on a pitch, but I also saw that in the change rooms as well. He was different, but in a
There was that famous story that Harry tells about where he plonks himself on the halfway line, wanting to come off as a substitute. And
I was in my debut. I played well. It was when I came on against Bradford. He literally sat down next to the dugout saying, "Take me off, take me off. I've had enough." Because there were so many things going against him. He wanted out. He'd had enough. And it turns out we actually won the game, and I'm glad he stayed on because it was a big factor. He was a big factor when at West Ham. But I remember when Glenn Roeder came as the manager, they had to treat him differently because he was that special to the club. Some people didn't like him being treated differently to all the other players, which caused a bit of a friction in the camp because they were all big players when Glenn Roeder was there. But if I was the manager, I'd have treated him special because he was actually a special human being. So I loved him and I learned a lot from him, and I made his book as well, didn't I?
I saw you made
his book. I got on well with him. But the thing is, I learned from him. So I would be in the gym alongside him doing my own things, and he would be in the gym. So yeah, he knows I worked hard because I worked hard right next to him.
Yeah, because
sorry, Dan, I was just going to say, obviously you were in there and you were taking a bit of a link from what he was doing outside the game and in the changing rooms and in the gym and doing bits away from it. Were there many people sort of jumping on the train as well with him? Or was it?
No, it's surprising how many people. I think nowadays it's different. Nowadays it's that extra 2% or 5% that you can get out of yourself. Now everyone's educated and everyone's learning from other people. They're all in the gym. They're all doing it. But back then, in 10, 15 years ago, it was like very, very few youngsters actually went in the gym and did extra or tried to be elite. And maybe that's because I wasn't living at home with my mates at 16 and 17. I had nowhere to go. Do you know what I mean? I didn't want, my mates would come and see me at weekends, or I was on the phone to them or playing games or something with them during the night. But during the day, it was like, what do I do? I tell you what, I'm going to make myself better. Now how do I make myself better? I'm going to watch absolutely everyone. I'm going to watch Frank Lampard. He's spikes on a day off and literally go and do some athletics, some running up and down, up and down. I'm going to watch Paolo how he runs in training and how he does the weights after. We had a special fitness coach come in, and Trevor Sinclair and Paolo, they'd all have him, Rio and Frank. He would make sure your muscles were long and strong. And I just remember that. Make sure your muscles are long and strong, and then you do yoga. But back then it was like I used to feed people who were top of their game. And that's how I stayed in the game as long as I did, I believe, because my body was able to do that.
That's amazing.
So, yeah.
That's absolutely amazing.
People.
I can imagine.
Yeah,
I can imagine.
Honestly, yeah, I used to watch loads of people. I just used to be a sponge off everyone. David James on his weights.
But you'd have only been a kid at this point as well. I mean, for you to, I mean, David James was, an elite Premier League keeper at this point. So for you to be stood next to him and training with him 9 out of 10 days, like that must have been something incredible to be around, no?
I was so lucky. It was unbelievable. John Hartson, Ian Wright came, Neil Ruddock came, all these, Stuart Pearce was there. How these people, you like to watch how these people operated, and it was on a level that was just, it's the detail. So we was at Ipswich away, and Stuart Pearce used to always have his little clock. He used to have a little alarm clock. So he would literally, to the minute, get ready for the game. Do you know the countdown? Like, literally put his shin pads on, put his boots on, put his slip on. And John Moncur, before the game, he changed his clock. He put it like 5 minutes fast, right? But I sat next to Piercy that day, and he's getting ready, and he's literally got his slip on, and he's jogging on the spot, literally jogging on the spot with his boots and his socks and his underpants on. That's all. And he's looking around, going, "Yeah, lads, time to get ready, innit?" And the lads are cracking up, going, "Yeah, all right, Piercy." He's looked at his watch, right? He's asked for someone the time, and he's gone, "Who's messing my clock? Bywater, are you messing my clock? Don't ever mess with my preparation again." But the thing was, what I learned from that is people go down to that detail. Do you know what I mean? Don't mess with my clock. In other words, my preparation is down to the detail of the minutes. So, I was laughing about him because he was getting ready in that lot. But as a 16, 17-year-old, he's going, "Well, hang on a minute, he's just gone mental at me for something I didn't do." John Moncur changed the clock. But he's that passionate about his every second that, it was funny, but I learned something from that people do it down to the detail. And towards the end of my career and towards the last 5-6 years, the detail mattered because I wanted to I wanted to do everything right. So, I learned a lot from so many.
Did he ever find out that you didn't fuck about with his clock?
No, because I don't tell tales. It's not for me to tell him who did it. But
it was John Moncur.
It's him. Like it's him there. Him there. Nah, but it was so funny though watching him get ready, and everyone was just sat there in change rooms, and him going. But I learned from that. Really, I would learn all the time.
Amazing. Now, as it stands right now, we are live on Facebook. Vic, have you got a question? Have we got any questions on Facebook?
I've got a question, Stephen. Well, I'll just go through the ones on Facebook. What are you doing nowadays? Because obviously we can see your hats now.
I'm building a brand. I'm making accessories, luxury accessories. So basically, if I like it, like boxer shorts, I'll make it. Hat caps, I'll make it. Belts. I make the best stuff. But what I've learned in football is you can't get away. You can't hide from quality. So when I give my products out, I know that every single product is the highest quality. And I can't. Nobody can say, "Oh, that's not good." So I'm enjoying it. I'm drawing. I'm dealing with people. It's exciting. It's just a new career, really. But I'm transferring the elite people I've seen and operate around. I'm transferring that into football, into business. Treat people right. Do the right things all the time. So I'm enjoying it. Thank you for asking.
Nice. Okay, so questions from Facebook. Sharon asks, what would you change at Sheffield Wednesday now?
I've not been there recently, but I don't know. I think I'd had a bit of experience to the team, a bit more experience, and a bit I don't know. I just had a bit of experience. It seems to have got really good, young, talented players, but it just add a little bit more to the squad with experience, I think. I know Bannon's there, but you can never get enough experience to try and get you out of that league. It's there's a balance between young, fresh, and not experienced. And I just had a bit more experience, but it might cost a bit of money, and I don't know what the finances are like.
Think of the player. Think of the players you've just left. You've just listed in your West Ham career. I mean, a lot of those players were at the the nice way of saying the twilight end of their career, weren't they? You know, like your Stuart Pearces and your Ruddicks and your Ian Wrights. So marrying that with your Lampards and 19-year-old yourself and all the rest of it and the Rios.
Michael Carrick, Rio Ferdinand. Yeah, it was a good blend. It was 50-50. It was really good. But the characters at the top were motivated to help those at the youngsters. And that's the key. If you get experienced players who feel part of a team and who are not just there to make up the numbers, and you involve them in the games and you involve them in everything, you'll get the best out of absolutely everyone. So, but it's hard to find the experience that can do a job on a pitch and that can also help the youngsters. So, yeah, I think Sheffield Wednesday need to do that, because it's. Do you know what? I'm telling you now, it should be in the Premier League. It's disappointing and it's gutting that they're not in the Premier League. For me.
Yeah. We whinge about that on the reg, Steve, to be fair.
No, it's true though. With the amount of the support they get and the it's just, they're one of them clubs that just shouldn't be in the Championship ever.
Go on, mate. What else have we got?
Another one we've got is apparently all goalkeepers are said to be nuts. Do you agree?
And I think we're all different, yeah.
Right, Steve, come on now. Now,
Yeah.
I think I was doing this show. I've been doing it for like 10 years now. And one of the phrases I used to describe you was mad as a fish in petrol. Now, there's a story I want to get to that I've referenced a few times, and I want to know the absolute minutiae of it. You were sat in a car eating a can of rice pudding with a toothbrush.
100%.
What was going on there?
Do you know what? I travel a lot, right? And I have rice pudding, I have beans, and I didn't have a spoon. So I only had my toothbrush, and I'm just sat there eating it with a toothbrush.
Were you in a traffic jam or something that just went, I need to eat? Like Stuart Pearce's thingy, and you're going... Listen, if you get hungry, do you know what happens if you get hungry? You get tired. And if you get tired, you kind of change character a bit, don't you? Obviously. You get a bit, don't know. I love the way you just took it in your stride. Like, there's no wrong with that. Like, listen, I was hungry. I had some rice pudding.
Yeah. 100% toothbrush, rice pudding. 100. Do you know what? It's just like a spoon. Brush your teeth afterwards as well. But yeah.
Did you have a tin out?
Listen, when I travel, I have everything with me. You don't understand.
From a spoon.
Except for a spoon. Do you know what I might have done? It might have been one of them days where I've pulled up the glove compartment and my plastic spoons have fallen out, and I've just thought I refuse to use the one that's been on the floor, so I just used my toothbrush. But yeah,
amazing.
We're sticking on this sort of goalkeepers being nuts thing.
Yeah.
Promotion day, Clem. Just talk us through it. What possessed you to suddenly start throwing every piece of the way over him?
Yeah, he was in there. I just thought, you're getting it. Get out. I don't know. I just saw the plate of sandwiches and I thought, who's eating them sandwiches? Seriously, we've just got promotion. We're going to have a few drinks. Those sandwiches are not going to get eaten, so he can have them. But yeah, he's a character. He's a character, Clem. Though he gives.
Yeah, he took it well, didn't he?
He gives it though. Have you ever seen him on a? He does a stand-up talking for people, don't he? He gives out some good banter, so he can take it. But you know what kind of character is? If you give it, you've got to take it, and he gives it, so he takes it as well. So it was good. It was fun. He's a nice guy. He comes to Burton all the time.
I love that you just take it. Right? Yeah. I just ate that with the toothbrush, and I just took some sandwiches on him. Anyway, what's next? Like, you know what I mean? I love the way these are just things that happen in your life. Yeah. I tell you what, then. So let's rewind a little bit. So, how old were you when you went from? What was it, 2005, 6, was it? When you went from West Ham to Derby? And
2006, yeah.
Yeah, and you must have had you must have thought, I tell you what, this is the way up here. I mean, Derby went on to have a barnstorming season. They'd been knocking on the door. Did you get promoted with them?
Yeah, I got promotion that year with them, yeah, through the playoffs.
And they had a really good season. Was that Billy Sharp in charge? Yeah. Billy Davis, not Billy Sharp. Sorry, I got him on the mind. He tattooed. He'll be
a future manager. He will. Future manager. There you go.
Absolutely, yeah, he will. Yeah, he will. Now, do you going back to Billy Davis going up and all the rest of it? Your squad number was number 43, and that was in reference to Les Sealey, according to Wikipedia. And I thought it'd be fair to give you a platform for you to tell us about the influence that Les had on your career.
No, it's when I went to West Ham. He looked after me like a dad. So he was fast tracking me on how to be a footballer, how to be a goalkeeper, and how to be a human, and how to how to look after yourself really in football. And he always used to say, if you say something, make sure you do it. So if you're going to say you're going to do some training, you make sure you do it. And if you're going to come for a cross, make sure you're going to try and come. Make sure you do as you say, and believe in yourself. And he was like a dad. So he died at 43. And when Derby County said, we want to sign you, what number do you want? I said, well, I'd like 43 just to represent Les Sealey for the career, because obviously without my dad, without myself, without Les, these are big influences on my life that actually made me who I was, not only as a footballer, but as a human. And I enjoyed working with him. Only 3 or 4 years. I get on with his son, Joe. He lives around the corner from me. I'm like his brother. So it's not one of them, oh, he's my coach and then that's it. He was part of my life. And but we all must enjoy our lives, and we all must just do our best to keep helping everyone. So he died too young. So, but but that's it. You have to, you learn, and you understand that life's precious. And if you're going to do something, do it. If you're going to play football, have a right go, do it right. If you're going to be an accountant, be the best accountant. If you're going to be, if you're going to own a shop, do it right. So that's my ethos in life. So when I'm doing this new brand, I'm doing it right. And that's it. And that's instilled from me from day one. But yeah, he was a good man, and he was very successful as a footballer, and he was very, very respected in the changing rooms as well. Everyone would listen to him. He played at Manchester United. You're not dummy if you play there. And yeah.
Well, yeah, isn't it? Steve, have you got a question for Steve?
Yeah, I think we're getting to a point where we talk about your point where the time where you got to Sheffield Wednesday. How did that come about? And what was the sort of the process involved with coming to us?
Well, I wasn't playing at Derby, and Andy Rhodes was the goalkeeper coach at Sheffield Wednesday, and he just rang me to said if I wanted to come. And man, Sheffield Wednesday's massive, so I said yeah, I'll come. And Gary Megson was the manager, and I'd never met him. And I got there, and I loved it. The changing room, the training ground was not up to standard. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. But you know what? I didn't care. I liked the people there. Lindsay, who was the secretary, she did absolutely everything. She welcomed me with like, wow. She's the best. She's the most economical person with her time I've ever met. She does a lot of things for a lot of people, but does it very swiftly. So she looked after me. The club. Do you know what? I got there. There was no bath in the changing rooms at the training ground. And before training, I always had a hot bath and did yoga to get my body right, so I was ready to go. So they opened up the ground every morning for me. So I'd go to the ground, have a hot bath with the groundsman there, and then he'd lock up, and then I'd go to the training ground to have a stretch. So it was that kind of like, do you know what? They go out your way to help you. They go really out your way to help you. And I liked it from day one, that was as well. And Gary Megson was like, pulled me in the office and said, don't know, he was different as well, but I loved him. he used to have a brandy before the game.
Shocking.
But the thing is, he offered me a brandy before every game as well.
Is that what it is, Steve? You're writing your career off for like that back end, turn of the decade area is just because you were pissed up most of it, like
No, but I was professional then. But he was just so different. But he knew what it took. He just knew you as a person that will. He wanted people that would literally die for the cause, and I was one of them people. He loved Sheffield Wednesday. The first game when I got to the stadium, there was me and there was another player who signed on the same day. I can't even remember, but he took me and this lad to the
back of the cop.
Yeah, and he took us halfway up the cop, and he said, "Turn around, lads. Look, this is where you're playing. This is where you're going to win games. This is what it means to everyone. Look, this is the view that everyone wants to have when you come to Sheffield Wednesday." And he showed it me, and I'm already bought in, but now I'm really in. You know what I mean? I want to. I don't know. You die for the cause, don't you? And literally, I would put my head in anyone's feet to get a win. To dive at anyone, I'd dive into a post or anything for people.
On Mex's last game, it was a 1-0 victory against Sheffield United, wasn't it? Did you play in that one?
I played in them. Yeah, I played in them. The derby games, yeah.
You played in both, didn't you, that season?
Yeah, both. We drew one, didn't we? And we won one.
Mm.
Yeah. In other words, we didn't lose, did we? That was the main thing. We don't lose those games.
What was the atmosphere like going
The
into
atmosphere was amazing. Both of them, they were unreal. The lads would be buzzing for them games, like really, like it meant so much to everyone. Yeah, it was just incredible. But those are the games that you look forward to. That really, I'm signing at Sheffield Wednesday to my mates. Call, when's Sheffield United game? Because you know it's big. When I signed at Ipswich, where's the Norwich game? You know what I mean? It was like those big games, but Sheffield Wednesday it's a big club. It's massive. It's bigger than Sheffield United. But I've never played for Sheffield United, but it feels a bigger worldwide audience. You know what
That's
I mean?
going on our Instagram tomorrow. That little clip there. Go on, Vic.
I was just going to say, so obviously, like the game that we beat Sheffield United was Megson's last game, and I think everybody seemed to know that. It still came as a bit of a shock, but everyone seemed to know. Did the team have like an inkling of that before the match, or had the gaffer said anything? Or
I think there was rumours. We played Chesterfield or something in a game previous to that, and there was rumours. There was rumours from that game, to be honest, that he might not last so long, which was a shame because he did things right. Gary Megson did things right. He was ultra professional, and he knew how to get the best out of everyone. So it was a shame he couldn't see the season through, to be honest.
Sorry, go on, Steve.
I was just going to say, do you think, on obviously the manager, there's a bit of a swing after the derby game. Do you think if Megson had stayed after that, obviously the bounce of you lose to Chesterfield, he's had a bit of a negative run. Obviously, he's a Wednesdayite, and he's ingrained in the club, isn't he? He's a bit like Chris Wilder is at United now. Do you think if we'd have stuck him, he'd have got us up?
I think he'd have still got us up, yeah. Just like people, because you have that. There's a level of passion for a club, and when you really love the club that much, like Megson did, you're going up. You're going up because you had the feeling he got together some really good players that were all on the same page, and that was to get promotion. Mikel Antonio, he got some of the future, you know what I mean? He got some good players, Jonah at the back, Gary Medine, big players, Prutton, they're all good players, solid players that are good enough to get you out of the league, and he got us that together. And he was able to manage these big characters, because we're all big characters that you have to, well, as a manager, you have to get your big characters to buy into what you want. But with him, it wasn't what we're buying into. It was Sheffield Wednesday. He loved Sheffield Wednesday. You didn't have to buy into a manager's how to operate. You were buying into the club, and he was the club in his head. So yeah, it was easy for him to manage the big players.
As well as Megson, you mentioned Andy Rhodes. What were that? I could imagine you, Andy Rhodes, and Weaver being quite a trio in training. I could imagine that being we're training together.
Weaves is so funny. He's just a nice guy that's hilarious, but he's a good goalkeeper as well. So we had competition, and Rhodesy just managed the goalkeepers. That's what he does. He manages goalkeepers. He puts on sessions and he manages. He ticks you over, and he makes sure you're mentally right. Because physically, you are right. It's just mentally you need to be focused and to keep concentrating. And we had a good bond, the three of us. Richard O'Donnell was there as well. All the youngsters were there. Cammy was there, Joe was there. We're all there growing up together, really. And they've got a great future ahead of them as well. So it wasn't about me, and it wasn't about Weaves. It was about the whole goalkeeper as a squad, really. And he was really good. I enjoyed him. I knew him from Ipswich as well when I was on loan at Ipswich. So, but he's a big character himself, and he knows how to manage big characters. And you need success.
Let's pull at that thread then for a bit, because in that team, like you said, you had Prutz, you had Raider, Mikel Antonio. I mean, what a hell of a signing! What a football player that man has become. I'm actually proud as a Sheffield Wednesday fan to go. We were part of his journey from Tooting and Mitcham or wherever he came from to go right to be one of the elite players right at the very top. I mean, did you see that from him? Could you see the way he was, that he would end up there?
He was professional. You could tell he wanted everything to be done right, and he was an athlete. So if you're an athlete, you've got a real good chance of playing in the top league. And his desire and his determination, and he was strong as well, and he was awkward on the ball. Do you know what I mean? You couldn't really defend against him in the Championship because he was that fast, he was that powerful. So you always knew he was going to go to the next level. Yeah. So it was.
What about Gary Medine? I mean, he's had his. I don't know. He's had his checkered past. Let's call it. I mean, you could tell he had a desire to win. You could tell he was really a big personality in the changing room around it. I mean, I remember reading an article about. I think it was he was working with one of the coaches about playing with his back to goal to drop a bit deeper and turn around and face towards a goal and all the rest of it. I mean, he could have had a better career if he weren't so mental, couldn't he? Or am I being unkind?
I think you're being a little bit unkind. He's not mental, you know. He's focused, and he's just a young lad that you know, back in the day he's probably got, you know, easily wound up, or people literally target you. You know, when you're doing well and you're young and you're good looking and you've got everything really, you're kind of a target. So yeah, I think he was a target for a lot of stick, and he loves Sheffield Wednesday, and I really got on well with him. You know, he'd come round to the apartment and we'd have pre-match and stuff together, and we'd get on and we'd have jokes, and he was fun. I saw him as fun but focused. Not the quickest, but that's the difference. You know, the pace is the difference in the Premier League. But he was a very good player. He's a handful. He's tall. He's strong. But yeah, I just think he's doing really well, and he was a good player for Sheffield Wednesday, and he's still a good player now. But was he top Premier League? There's the pace, isn't it? The electric pace. But could he help a Premier League team out? Yeah, he could. Could he? Yeah, I just think he really does what he says on. You know what I mean? He does what he says. You know what you're getting from him every week, and that's consistency. So he was consistent for us, and yeah, he was good for us. If we'd have struggled without him, the kind of character he was, you know, you'd rather have people who believe in you and believe in going up than a superstar that doesn't really care, who cares about themselves really and how they look. And Michail Antonio, he's a superstar, and you know, Gary Medine's a superstar. They all want the team to win, and we had that, and Gary makes them manage that as well. Because, you know, we all like nights out, and Gary and Dean like nights out. I like nights out. But you're a target. You're always a target when you're probably living somebody else's dream. You're a target. And that's what he was. He was living somebody else's dream.
That's a wonderful way of putting it. I really like that. Like when you're somebody else's dream. I really like that. That's a great way of putting it. Ben, have you got any more, pal?
So just sort of moving on, as Megson left, what were the change, if any, when Dave Jones come in? Was it just keep doing what you're doing? Did he? Because people said, you know, he's got a relaxing nature about him, relaxing the players. But what were the case like with that?
He was very relaxed when he came in. He literally just ticked us over what we were doing, and added his strategies and added his attitude. He was very relaxed. He just said, one thing you do though, lads, you can, everything needs to be clean and tidy. He said it costs nothing. Make sure you maintain these being clean and tidy. He was instilling some discipline and respect for each other that was on another level. And I like that. And yeah, sometimes you forget about the little things in life. And he said, if you don't want to come into football, you won't get paid. If you want 2 days off, you won't get paid for 2 days. If you want 2 weeks off, don't come in and you won't get paid for 2 weeks. He was that kind of attitude. He was relaxed. He says, basically, do what you want. If you don't want to come in, you won't be part of the club. So, and that just like, no, we all want to be there. It's like a double flip side, isn't it? Hang on a minute. He's just saying that if I don't want to come in, hang on a minute. I do want to come in and I want to play for the club. So he kind of like brought that do what you want attitude, but it kind of like makes you even more motivated to go in and show him that you want to be there, you want to play for the club, and you want to get promotion.
Wow. That's
come back to your Sheffield Wednesday time before we move on too quickly. But obviously you mentioned about Cameron Dawson and Joe Wildsmith. Do you feel like a tinge of sort of pride now, like a proud uncle, when you see that obviously they'll have learned from you, they'll have learned from Nicky Weaver, they still are learning from Nicky Weaver. Do you see that I think both of them have got a long career ahead of them. Does that make you feel like this sort of pride in these two young lads that you saw growing up and now they're actually playing in the Championship?
I just feel pleased for them. You know what I mean? I just feel pleased for them because we're all trying to make our own way in what we're trying to do. And I saw them when they were coming in and they were young. And you know what? They could deal with they can deal with it mentally because of the people they had around them to be able to show them, you know, you've got to be mentally strong. And if you make a mistake, it doesn't matter. They had like myself, Andy Rhodes, Nicky Weaver, Richard O'Donnell as well. You know, they had like some strong characters who have all done well in goalkeeping. And they've had them to then look to think, do you know what? If they can do it, I can do it easy. So that's what they've all, they're very good, nice characters, but they're all determined. And they've all had their techniques and their, you know, I remember Cammy not being a super fit goalkeeper. But yeah, he's worked on his fitness and that's what he had to work on.
I mean, he's massive now. The guy is huge.
I know, but he's built.
Like you, Dan.
He's built right though. He's built right though, isn't he? He wasn't. He had puppy fat and a bit of chubbiness, but you know what? He's got his head down and he's done well. But he must have seen how the keepers like myself have operated, how Weave's operated, and the sessions we were doing. And you've got to be an athlete first. And he took on board as a young man. And he's developed his own skills into being a good goalkeeper, which I'm pleased for him. And I'm pleased for Joe. They're both really good goalkeepers and the competition's there to keep them both on the toes. And if they go to other clubs, they will then take their experience and to do another club. And then the young goalkeepers there will learn from them. It's like it's an ongoing cycle.
Proper chain. But
only if you're doing it right, though. There's people out there who think they can go to a club for a year, be lazy, still have success, but they don't. They drop the standards, and then that really affects what people are watching them and how they're operating. So,
now Steve, there's just coming away from football just for 2 minutes. There are two things that are absolutely burgeoning inside me that I need to ask you about. The first one is you were in Dream Team I think you had an appearance in Dream Team.
Dream Team.
Yeah, the old Sky One program. I think you were on that for a bit. I was doing some research today, and I thought I didn't even know that. I'll ask you about it.
I wasn't on Dream Team. I wish I was on Dream Team.
He wasn't on Dream Team.
Are you on IMDb on Dream Team?
Vic, no.
I was on Green Street. Was there a film Green Street I was on? Was it on that? I made that then after like 2 seconds at West Ham.
Yeah. There's half a second of you on there. Yeah. So yeah, there you are. You're on IMDb. And the other one, I've got to ask you about the art installation. With the neighbours, because this is truly one of my favourite stories, you know, alongside the rice pudding one. I mean, can you tell us about that? I mean, what went on?
You know what? I was coming home from football. I had nothing to do. I thought, you know what? I'll start doing artwork. You know, Tracy Emin, I've started reading books and everything. I thought, what can I do? I'm not going to start there drawing. The thing is that everyone makes it out to do with the neighbours. The neighbours were never even in their house. They were always on holiday. So
actually, it was an art installation. It wasn't you going here, look at that, because the neighbours were pissing.
No, honestly, if you see the detail, it was proper graffiti, and it's proper spray cans. I've got a gas mask on, everything. I did it proper, but it was just me of expressing myself in my own way. But yeah,
you sold it for charity, didn't you? For Pride.
Yeah, I gave it to charity to the local hospitals and stuff. So, but the thing is, my inner artist is coming out now because I'm drawing all the time, like design and products. I just didn't have a focus to do the art, but
that's
now
absolutely, I love that. I love that.
Yeah, it's within me. So instead of picking up a spray can and drawing different colours and different patterns, I'm actually drawing products. So I actually think it's inside me, like it's inside everyone, to do something that they don't really know they want to do, and then later down the life, it just comes out. So literally, I drew the logo and drew loads of designs after picking. When I finished playing, I bought an iPad with a pen, and I just started drawing. And you don't know, it's brilliant, and it just brings me back to my art. My mum was really good at art, though, so yeah, it was nothing to do with the neighbours. Everyone thought it was the neighbours because it was near. It's obviously I've got neighbours, but they were on holiday for 6 months of the year, so
that's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. That's even better than the original story. I thought you know, the way that the local Derby press had
the press and all that lot. Yeah, no problems. Yeah, and the peak. Yeah, no.
Oh wow, that's actually a better story than what I thought it was.
Yeah.
Vic, have we got anything else on Facebook?
Yes, we have. We've had a couple of people, Graham and Anthony, asking if you'd ever consider management or coaching, and would you consider doing it at Sheffield Wednesday? Obviously, you'd have to boot Nicky Weaver out the way.
No, I'm not interested in being a manager. There's too much politics. When Gary Megson pulled me in the office, he said, "Stephen, football's the closest thing to politics," and I don't have any interest in being a manager. I have an interest in coaching, but I don't want to be in a role as a coach. I want to be a volunteer as a coach, so that I have my own time and I'm on my own path, because that's the only way I can give back, because I know that time for everyone's precious, and I'm trying to build a second career with my brand. So I like to dedicate time once a week to giving back with the coaching, but as an official tied to a club, I'd rather not do that, because I'd rather give the opportunity for someone else who wants a career in coaching. And if I'm taking up a slot as a career in coaching when I'm trying to do other things, I think that's unfair. I think everyone should have their dream, really, and I don't want to take up someone's dream if I'm not really passionate about doing full time. I think if you want to do it full time, then yeah. But I coach goalkeepers, and I enjoy it. But I would never be a manager, and I'd never be a full time coach. There's no. For me, it's you're beholden to somebody else, and you're dancing to somebody else's tune. And I've danced to somebody else's tune for like the last 22 years in football, and now I dance to my own tune, and I make my own, and I'm creative, and I'm free now. I feel free. Yeah, and I don't want to be in the politics of it, really, which is a shame. But I'm giving back on my own terms, which I like, and people will get the best out of me then.
Wow. Have we got any more, Vic?
They're mainly just comments. So we've got not a question, mate, but one of my friends still has and treasures your Harrogate spring water bottle from the promotion game versus Wickham.
Do you know what? That Wickham game, was everyone there at the Wickham game?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's one of my favourite games in my whole career, because that is so rare.
How did you feel when that whistle went? And obviously, us in the stands, we were watching the score at the other side of the city, and we were trying to keep up with everything, and we knew at that point that it was right. How did it feel when 20,000 people suddenly ran towards you? Did the Stephen Bywater caricature that we're led to believe exists, did he just go, "Come on then," or did you just?
I was loving it. I was loving it. I wanted them all to come on. I want them all to shout. I want them all to come in the changing rooms. Reed Johnson was the same, but yeah, I loved it. I want to be part of the party, really, because yeah, it's just one of them special occasions. The best thing for me was that Wickham gave us their tickets back.
Yeah, they did. Yeah,
they took 500 tickets for themselves, and they gave the rest of the thousands back. And I thought, fair play to them. And I'll always have respect for that club for doing that, because that meant a lot to myself as a player, and to the supporters, that you could fill a whole Sheffield Wednesday bar 500 people for a home game. It's unheard of. You don't do that, and that was special.
I think the thing is as well that we often forget, because like there's a lot of us on the podcast, and a lot of us are over a certain age bracket, but Ben's still our baby. That is his Wembley, like
yeah.
93, you know.
Yeah, I were a 12-year-old in a blue and white wig with a Wednesday flag wrapped around me. And I was saying when we went down to Brentford, I went down to Brentford week before as well.
Did you?
Yeah.
It was good. I made a decent save against Brentford that week.
Honestly, first half we got peppered in that game.
We drew, didn't we?
You what?
Did we drew against Brentford?
No, we beat them 2-1.
Yeah, was it the last minute?
They scored a penalty, and then Vieira scored.
Yeah, do you know what? Yeah, I remember. The thing was, right, I had my uncle died that week, yeah, and because we were travelling on the Friday to Brentford, I couldn't go to my uncle's my uncle's funeral. I said, I'm not coming. My mum was gutted. She said, I can't believe you're not coming to your uncle's funeral. He was like, he lived next door. He looked after me like a dad with my dad. And I said, I can't go. I've got Sheffield Wednesday to get promotion. And my mum was gutted that I didn't go. So I'm glad I went.
Tell you what, may I say on behalf of all of the Sheffield Wednesday fans, I appreciate your big sacrifice that day. I really do. Like, thank you so much for doing that. That's
if you knew what uproar that caused in my family, my mum wouldn't speak to me. She said, I can't believe you put in your uncle, because literally he looked after. He would go to every game with my dad, and he'd support me. And I said, you know what, Uncle Jim would love me to just play the football, be part of something. And I made a decent save against Brentford in like the last 10 minutes or something. I said, you know what? I'm glad I was there. I know all the keepers would have made it, but I was there to make it, to help the team. So yeah, and I remember getting on the bus back and going on the. See, he's coming back to me now. Going on the bus back. Sheffield United were Exeter.
They were playing later. Yeah, they were
watched
playing
on the TV and they're getting beat, weren't they? Got beat.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
he's coming back to me now.
Yeah.
Oh wow! I love that you've regressed all them years. Now I'm going to move on to one because you like me. I think there's only about 3 or 4 months difference in our birthdays. So you're going to be entering the 40 club very soon. Now, people talk about when players get old about the legs going a little bit and they lose that half a yard of pace and all the rest of it. And at Sunday League, I even felt it. You know what I mean? I didn't feel superhuman anymore. But did you?
Find Sunday League when you?
Hey, listen, I'm a fucking Sunday League superstar, mate. Allergies or something.
Confidence. I like it. It's confident.
Yeah, you see. I found that it was more the rebuild. You know what I mean? So Sunday League, we train once and play on a Sunday. So I'd train on a Wednesday and I'd feel like shit up until about Saturday afternoon. But at your level, with your did you get to a point towards, the back end of your career where you were thinking, my fucking body can't keep up with this anymore?
No, I was lucky because there's a few factors there. When Billy Davies came into Derby when I was 27, he instilled the yoga coach into everyone, and I got a private program. She did Ryan Giggs's DVD. She's called Sarah, and she's worked with Formula One. She's worked with Chelsea, Man City. So we caught her before she became massive. So she gave me that program, and I did it religiously every single day, from 27 to 39 before I retired. So I never got the aches and the pains, because I always managed myself. So, and that's what it is. It's doesn't matter about how old you are. It's about how you're educated. And if you're educated and if you knew how to do the yoga and know how to have baths and stretches, even if you had the time to do it, you wouldn't feel that way. And if you start now, give it a few years and you won't feel the aches and the pains.
So you're telling me that smoking fags and sitting on my ass is not the way forward to being an elite sportsman?
Do you know what? If you want to do what you want to do, but you won't get the best at it, it's the recovery. You can be able to perform, but it's the next day you won't be able to perform.
Yeah, that's what I found. It was turning up for a game already knackered. You know what I mean?
That's it. Yeah.
And the bruises wouldn't heal up for a couple of days, and I'd still have concussion from Sunday or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was all like that.
Yeah, but no, it's I was lucky. I actually left the sport fit as a fiddle, which I'm very grateful for. So I've got a life after football. I can do whatever I want to.
Fair enough. Go on, Ben.
Just going on sort of the later years of your time in football, you went to, and there is a Wednesday link in this, Kerala Blasters, were it in India?
Yeah.
And obviously that's who Gary Hooper's currently playing for. What was that like?
It was the games were exciting. So you would literally get there and the games would be 80,000 or whatever the sellout. It'd be a sellout for the atmosphere would be like a disco. You literally disco's going on while the game's going on and lights flashing everywhere. And if you kick the ball high, it's like, oh,
because you can kick the ball right hard.
Yeah, it's crazy. The atmosphere is crazy, but the standard wasn't that good, to be honest, because you were mixing the Europeans with the Indians who were local. And what would happen is these are tax inspectors or have been released from farmers from normal day-to-day jobs to go and play in the Super League. What would happen? These could run and cope with the weather conditions, the heat. The Europeans and the internationals, they had the talent, but they couldn't cope with the heat. So after 5 minutes, the standard just like leveled out. So it was kind of cool to watch how a standard would level out. And but yeah, the living conditions wasn't for me. And yeah, I wouldn't do that again. But I was lucky that I met Sachin Tendulkar, the cricketer, and he was a really nice guy, and I saw the passion for him to help his people. Is the Indian culture of the cricket, the football, sport in general. So he wanted to help where he'd come from, really.
Amazing.
I know, what a guy, but I would never go there again. I don't want to go on holiday there. My neighbour, when I was in London, he said, "Oh, you've been to India?" I said, "Yeah, it's great, for the playing and stuff." He said, "Oh, I love travelling around India." I said, "Oh, would you live there?" He went, "No." So it's one of them, innit? Would you live there? I don't think so. Do you know, it's a shame because there's no infrastructure there. So we would stay in 5-star hotels that were skyscrapers, and literally outside your door was the slums.
Yeah.
And
my dad said that he worked in India quite a lot, and he said it's just, you feel dreadful.
Well, I just felt like they're not going to get the opportunities in life that they should. They're all young. It's not their fault they're born where they're born or whatever. They're not going to get the opportunity, because I believe no matter who you are, if you get the opportunity because you've got the desire and the passion, you will get the best out of yourself. So we were in these skyscrapers, and outside was like kids like walking around with pigs. I'm not joking. And they're all just walking around bins with pigs. So anyway, I was like, oh my gosh, I've got to see this for 4 days. So I went to the local mall, because they have malls everywhere, like shopping malls. I went and bought like 100 balls and 100 frisbees. And I went into the slum. I did this once, right? Because I'll never do it again. I went into this slum, yeah, and with these balls, and it just came from everywhere, trying to grab hold of you, trying to do this, because they were so grateful for something. I've got all my security guards that came with the team all going, you can't do that, you can't do that. But for the next 4 days, I saw so many kids playing with frisbees and footballs. It was brilliant. So you can only do so much, but I wouldn't live there because it's not to my standard of living, to be honest. And that's
Wow.
The people are really nice. You know, the people were so nice. They would do anything for you. It's just that it's just so populated that the infrastructure is not there.
That's incredible.
As a footballer, as a professional footballer, you go there because you've got nowhere else to play, in my opinion.
Go on, Vic.
I think we'd have Gary Hooper back, but
Yeah.
I think Steve's got a question from Facebook. Have you?
I have. I'm just on mute. Don't ask me why.
Mate, we've spent an entire year of our lives now going, sorry, I was on mute. We know how it works now.
Question on Facebook from John. Obviously, you've experienced something that, like we said with Ben, he's only seen sort of the League One promotion stuff. Who out of that promotion sort of year, that 2012 season, who are you still in touch with? Are you still friends with people there?
I speak to Gary Medine quite a bit. Michael Antonio, I've seen him a few times. Jonah, centre half. Chris Kirtland, he wasn't there. He's a bit after that. But yeah, it's speak to quite a few, to be honest. Yeah, it's all right. We keep in touch. Do you know why you keep in touch? Because you've got that bond. You have that bond. I speak to the Derby County and the West Ham lads, Bobby Zamora, and all the Derby lads. It's just like you have a bond, and it's like that's it. You can't escape that successful bond, that moment of your life where you've had a year of absolute brilliantness.
We've actually found that, haven't we, Steve? You know, where where the club's achieved something. So that the team from 2005 that got out of League One, and the team that you were part of, and the lads from 1991. What we've found is that those guys are still in touch because they still have that, what you referred to as that bond of success. Because, I mean, we had Matthew Hamshaw on here talking about 2005, and he was naming players as nicknames, and I didn't know who the fucking hell he was talking about. Yeah, I'm still in touch with Widger and Johnsy and Schnecko. I'm like, who the fuck's he talking about?
Yeah. You know what, as well, though? It's not even about the players. You know, my dad used to speak to loads of people for like years after, and my mates used to speak to people years after. Mm-hmm. It's like supporters as well. They have that journey as well. Every week, going to those games, the Brentford's away. Do you know all them? All these games that you go to throughout that successful season, and you remember what pub you went to before the game. You remember what breakfast you had in the Holiday Inn before the game. You know, it's the simple things like that my dad used to do. That I know what it meant to him and all the supporters who were in the hotel. So, and it's not about my journey as a player. It's about the whole journey of everyone else as well. That I find that it's your lifestyle. It's your lifestyle for that period of time, and you associate yourself with that person and where we were. And remember that time, my mate still bang on to me about Reading away when I played at Derby. He used to say, you know what, we met so many people from Reading away, Stephen. Me, your dad and your uncle were out there. We had a few drinks and we didn't stop drinking till we got up the next day. And but
I completely agree with that. I mean, for me, it were more the 2015 season when we got to Wembley. The amount of mates that I made just because all are a certain age that were sort of going mad on concourse at half time. The amount of just because of how well we were doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Without the team doing well, you don't make
You've
them.
still got that bond now. Do you still speak to them people?
Yeah. You met friends that you just know through following Wednesday.
Yeah.
All of us here, like that's the only reason that the four of us actually know each other.
Brilliant.
Through the podcast.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I've known Dan for what's that, 6 years now doing this, and then Steve came in, and then Ben knows my cousin, but obviously also came in on this as well. So if it wasn't for Sheffield Wednesday,
It's a life. It's literally a lifestyle. It's your life. It's my life as well. It's everyone's life. And if you're all pulling in the same direction, you get success, and that's what makes everyone motivated to get more and to be more of a team. You know, your 4 or 5 will be 45 and then 50. You know, as it grows, it's mega. I love it. It's life. It's living.
All right. So, Vic, do you want to do the last couple of questions from Facebook before I wrap this up? And because I've taken enough of your time, Steve. My apologies.
I've got a couple from Facebook and one of my own. But from Facebook, so we've been asked, this is from Jay, what was your standout memory of the 2012 season apart from the Wickham game?
Oh,
United.
Well, the Sheffield. No, I like the way Megson introduced me to the club. The way he did it.
I love the fact that that's true. We hear that story so many times.
Yeah.
Never confirmed that is true. Yeah.
Oh, right. So no, that's a big moment to me. He brought me in because this is your first game here. This is what. As we were walking up the cop, he said, "Don't turn round. Don't look round yet." You go up and you turn round, and it's like there, and you go, "Yeah, I'm playing here, and I need to do this," because he was a proper supporter. So, yeah, the games, but the biggest impact for me was turning up and going to the game, and because no manager's done that, taking me into the stand and gone, "Look behind you. This is what it means to me. This is what it means to the club. You're going to play in front of these supporters, and you're going to get 30,000. We're only in League One, and you're going to get the big crowds, and they're going to want you to win. So just go out there and just know where you're playing." And that's it, because the club is bigger than your individual. That's what he was basically saying. This is a club. You're playing for the club, and that's it. You're not playing for yourself, or you're playing for the club. And that's what I loved. So yeah, that's probably the biggest thing. The Wickham game was a freak of a game, because you're never going to get that atmosphere again. But the biggest impact was being shown that you're playing for the club, and the club is bigger than anyone.
Amazing. Sorry, Steve. You had a question and I bypassed it about Burton Albion.
No, that was me.
Oh, was that you? Sorry.
Yeah, will you just shut up a minute?
Carry on. Who do you want?
I've got another one from Facebook, Stephen, from John, and you might not want to answer this, but hopefully you can give us a roundabout answer. He just says, did they pay well in India compared to the English lower leagues at the time?
No.
Moving on.
I literally went there because Peter Taylor was going there. I can't say what you got paid in US dollars, and then you had to, it's and then you had to pay. You had to pay the tax on it.
Yeah, rubbish. What's the point in being paid in dollars if you're going to pay the bloody tax? Rubbish.
Oh yeah, but I paid all the tax and I did it all legitimate. And that's what you're supposed to do. But for me, I was going because of Peter Taylor, and I wanted to back him because I was at Gillingham on loan with him, and he was a great guy. And if he's going somewhere halfway around the world and he wants a trooper with him, I'm there.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough.
But the money, it's not about the money, it's about playing. And that's what I'm saying. People are going there are desperate to play. It's not about the money. Like Hooper will be going there because he's desperate to play some football.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right. That's an hour, Stephen. And
you just give me a minute. You said
I said I was wrapping it up, and you've
Don't
asked
worry
the
about it.
question.
You can carry on. I'm easy. I'm easy. I've got a gym session later to do. It's all right. You do it. It's fine.
My only other question as well, Stephen, was is it true that when you were at Burton, obviously, I think they got relegated and then you dropped down a little bit. Is it true that you stayed on a use me whenever deal? You don't even need to pay me a salary?
Correct, yeah, because I was going to do a new business. So I thought it was only fair that I was honest to the manager and say, listen, I've got a future career. And I said, don't pay me. I said, I'll come, I'll turn up, whatever. I don't think it's fair. Which is right. If I want to do something, then I shouldn't be asked. I shouldn't be asking for a wage off someone. So, yeah, that's true. Yeah, I told the manager, and he said fair enough. But I kept myself fit. I was always on call. Yeah, I actually flew back from being away on business to actually play games. The manager said, "We've got injuries. We need you to play." And I got on the plane and came back and played and then went back out again. So yeah.
Is that part of it a bit of like giving back from you as well? Obviously, you've had this good career, you know, you don't necessarily need a salary from Burton Albion. Is that something that you feel that you've done for them?
No, because you know what, they looked after me. I wasn't doing anything for anyone. I was just doing the right thing. That's what I think you should do, the right thing at the right time. And that doing the right thing always helps people out, and you always get it back. And they looked after me and I looked after them. And throughout my career, I've always done the right thing, and that's being fair. And if you're fair to people, then you get respect. And I think there are a lot of people who take and give little. But if you can balance it out and give as much as you take, then you'll stand yourself in good stead. But I wouldn't take anything from anyone for doing nothing. I think you have to earn it in life. And yeah.
Listen, before we go, Stephen, I really need to say that before we did this interview this evening, I had completely bought into the entire narrative of how you've been perceived in the media in certain things, and the person we spoke to tonight has been thoughtful, creative, measured, and I must admit, like this is not the interview I thought I was going to have tonight. I genuinely I've been blown away by some of the answers you've given this evening.
Thank you. I'm passionate about what I do.
Very much so, and it really comes across now. So, I want you. You know, what brand is it? What is it you're selling? What's the? Tell us what you're doing now. We're going to give you this platform now because you've earned it.
Do you know what? I'm just transferring my football. It's called Hanbury Tennyson, and it's a family name. And me and my business partner drew the logo that's protected worldwide, that's transferable on anything. And I'm making luxury products, but I'm not. I want them to be able to be out there. Like I'm making sure that the detail is done, and so I'm making caps, belts, wash bags, towels, scarves, boxer shorts, bracelets, but I won't ever put my name to anything that's substandard, and that's it. And I'm just doing my best and I'm having a go. Like at football, I'm having a go, and I did well. I'm lucky that my business partner was very, very, very successful. So she knows what she was doing. She was worldwide, and she's helping me and advising me, and I'm taking it all in, and I'm just enjoying my life, and that's what you got to do. So no matter what I'm doing, building a brand, I'm enjoying doing it, and I'm in the real world. It's good. I love it. It's exciting. I think life's exciting. So thank you very much for letting me tell you what I'm doing now.
No problem at all. And if you release any Hanbury Tension branded spoons and/or toothbrushes,
I might do the toothbrush.
Put me down for it.
But the thing is, I've got to draw one, then I've got to design it, and then I've got to correct it and make sure it's absolutely spot on for people's teeth to be clean.
What about a toothbrush with a spoon on the back?
Yeah, like a sport.
That's called an army knife.
I'll go to this army knife. We need one of them.
Because I had one of them in my car for the tin opener, to get the right pudding.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us, Stephen. Vic, take us off Facebook. Thank you so much, folks. See you later. Join
The Wednesday week is sponsored by Michael Constantine Wealth Management. We bet you can't find a financial advisor closer to Hillsborough Stadium. The Wednesday week is sponsored by Michael Constantine Wealth Management. We bet you can't find a financial advisor closer to Hillsborough Stadium.